cluster headache for me feels like getting stabbed with an ice pick in the eye, or somebody's taking a knife and just stabbing you in the side of your head over and over and over again. I'm Brian, 39 years old, and I've suffered from episodic cluster headaches for quite a while. My first headache attack that I remember was when I was in college. I would wake up in the morning with these cluster attacks, and it would feel like I would just wake up to Mike Tyson punching me in the side of the head over and over and over again. And that's how it feels to have a cluster attack. I lived quite a few years just faking it while I felt like, I was kind of alone, and I didn't know why it was different, because I didn't want people to judge me or think that I was just being a baby in a sense when it comes to dealing with these headaches. So one of the times I remember vividly, having this particular attack was when my grandfather passed away. I traveled home to go and say my final goodbyes, and I got to the funeral and I had to immediately walk back out and go back and get in the vehicle and just try to get through that headache attack. And unfortunately, I missed the entire funeral. That is one of the moments that I remember more than anything else, is not being able to be there for my family when my grandfather passed. It took me about 10 years to finally get a true diagnosis of episodic cluster headaches. But even then, it felt like, all right, so now I know what the puzzle is supposed to look like, but I was still missing pieces to it. I tried a lot of different medications. Honestly, I felt like at some point, this is as good as it's gonna get. And so when my doctor brought up the Emgality 300 milligrams, it was just one of those things where, why would I try this when I know this is my new reality? Now looking back at it, I should have listened to it when she first brought it up to me. I mentioned it to my mother, and she was like, this is not gonna go on anymore. You're gonna at least try what she's talking about. It was one of those things where if mama speak, you need to listen. Finally, I was like, okay, let's do it, let's try it. And that's when things changed for me. Prior to taking Emgality, I was having roughly around 30 to 35 attacks per week. After taking that medication, I went down to about 10 to 15 attacks a week. It means a lot to me, the fact that I was able to cut those headaches down as much as I did. One of the times in particular I remember knowing that Emgality 300 milligrams was working for me was when I went home for the holidays. It was one of those things that I do every year. I go home and my mother has a room set aside for me. She called it a dungeon. My mother came to me and she told me, she was like, hey, I realized you're not going into your little area as much as you normally have to do when you come home for the holidays. And I told her I haven't had the need to like I typically do every year. She was so appreciative of the fact that she was able to spend more time with me. So the feeling now is excitement, joy, and the biggest thing is relief from so many of those attacks. You can't explain how it feels when you're not having to deal with being stabbed in the eye 3-4 times a day. What I would say to somebody that's suffering from episodic cluster headaches is talk to your doctor, seek the help, and find out if maybe Emgality 300 milligrams is right for you.